Did Jesus find the Ark of the Covenant? What happened to it? And most importantly, where is it now? Hey everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host. Today we're going to be answering the age-old question, where is the Ark of the Covenant? In today's video, we were going to cover everything you need to know about one of the most famous relics in all of human history. The Ark of the Covenant, also known simply as the Ark, was a sacred chest described in the Old Testament as being built by the children of Israel after God instructed Moses on how to build it so that he could place the tablets of stone containing the 10 Commandments inside of it. So this ark was said to have been built right around the same time that the Exodus from Egypt took place, which was likely sometime in the 13th century BC. This puts the ark's creation somewhere between 1300 and 1200 BC. In Exodus 25 to 10:22, the passage in which God gives Moses his instructions for building the ark. God tells Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and have them bring you an offering of dedication. You shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. And you shall overlay it with pure gold inside and outside." So that's exactly what they did. They built an ark out of acacia wood, covered it in gold, and placed the tablets of the law. The 10 Commandments that God had given to Moses on top of Mount Sinai, they placed those inside of it. And from that point forward, the ark was carried by the Israelites in all of their military campaigns, and was believed to possess miraculous powers. In fact, Joshua tore down the walls of Jericho when he marched his people into Canaan, which is modern-day Israel. And the people celebrated God's victory by having the priests carry the ark around the city 7 times. On the 7th day, they marched around the city 7 times, and on the 7th time they shouted, and the walls came tumbling down. They also believed that the ark's presence gave them strength in battle. For example, whenever the ark was taken into battle, the men who were tasked with carrying it were required to march ahead of everybody else. If they were marching to the right of a wall, then the enemy would always be defeated by the right flank. But if they were marching along the left side of a wall, then the enemy would be defeated on their left flank. Essentially, the ark would ensure that they were victorious in battle, but only if they were marching on the right side of the wall. However, there's a catch. The Ark of the Covenant could not be looked at directly. Nobody could look at the ark and live. And even the priests, who were allowed to carry it on their foreheads, they weren't allowed to look up on top of the lid of the ark. Because of this, ark was wrapped in a blue or purple cloth to obscure anybody's view of its contents. Even one glance of the ark without the protection of the cloth would result in death. There are actually a few stories in the Bible of people dying after merely glancing upon the ark. Uzzah, for example, was an ordinary Levite who helped transport the ark when it was being moved from the house of Abinadab to the house of Obed-Edom. While the ark was being carried by the team of oxen, it stumbled. And when Uzzah reached out to steady it, he was struck dead by God. Then there was also the case of Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, who took unauthorized fire and offered it before the Lord, which was punishable by death. As we move on through biblical history, the Ark of the Covenant seems to fade away. The last mention of it comes from the time period of King Josiah, when the temple was being renovated and a book containing the words of the covenant was found. Some believe that the ark was hidden in order to keep it safe from invaders. One theory says that it was taken to Aksum, Ethiopia, where it remains hidden to this day. Another theory suggests that it is buried beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, while others believe that it was destroyed either accidentally or intentionally. Over the centuries, many prominent figures have come forward with claims about the ark's location. For example, in the 19th century, a man named Ahmad ibn Fadlan Malamani claimed to have seen the ark in a secret location inside of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. However, his story was met with skepticism from both Jewish and Muslim scholars, primarily because it went against oral tradition within each faith. Jews, for example, believed that the ark had been lost or destroyed when the Babylonians invaded Jerusalem in 586 BC and burnt down Solomon's temple. Muslims, meanwhile, rejected Ahmad's story because, according to Islamic tradition, Prophet Muhammad had never mentioned the Ark of the Covenant. More recently, a man named Eric Storm, who was the caretaker of a church in Jerusalem for several years, came forward with a controversial claim of his own. He alleged that the Ark of the Covenant was originally kept inside of the church, which was located on top of the ruins of the first temple. According to Eric, the Ark was brought to the church in 66 AD and hidden there by a group of people who wanted to protect it from the Romans. At some point, however, somebody must have forgotten where it was hidden, because it was unrediscovered until Eric allegedly saw it in 1978, although he didn't actually touch it. He took pictures of it from a distance. And to this day, nobody knows whether or not those images are of the actual Ark or just some other relic. There are still many people who believe that the Ark of the Covenant will one day be found, and that its discovery will be a sign of the imminent return of Jesus Christ. In the book of Revelation, for example, it says, "Then the 6th seal was opened, and there was a great earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon turned as blood. And the stars of heaven fell to the earth, even as the fig tree withers away. its leaves and the sky being like a scroll was rolled up. The forces of heaven fled, each to his fort, and every man to his god. This passage is often interpreted as describing a series of events that will take place at the end of time, which will ultimately lead to the second coming of Jesus Christ. And many Christians believe that the discovery of the Ark of the Covenant would be one of these signs. So here's what we know. We know that the Ark of the Covenant was used by the ancient Israelites as a physical representation of God's presence among them. It served as a constant reminder of his covenant with his people and was believed to possess miraculous powers. We know that it was carried by the priests in all of their military campaigns, and that its presence gave the Israelites confidence in their battles. And we know that the Ark was lost or destroyed sometime before the 4th century BC, and that it has not been seen since. What do you think happened to it? Do you think it's still out there somewhere waiting to be discovered? Or do you think it was lost or destroyed long ago? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed today's video, then be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.